Hi guys, Josh here, welcome to Snapshots. Today we're looking at focal length and why you'd pick different focal length lenses for different jobs. So why don't we get right to it. So lenses are made in many different focal lengths and for different reasons, and they range from wide lenses to your more normal lenses and then your telephoto lenses. Today we're just going to be talking about why you'd use specific focal lenses for different things. And so why don't we start with your wider lenses. So you can get your fisheyes, you can get your 8mm, your 10mm, 17mm. At the moment I've got a 28mm, this is one Pentax, and with some of my zoom lenses, one of them goes to 17. And you do get quite a bit of distortion with that. And if you've ever seen a Terry Gilliam film, like Brazil, 12 Monkeys, with the wide lenses, the closer you get to the subject, because you do get more things in your frame, it can actually distort faces. Now I'm going to put up some photo examples. Some of these examples won't be my own work, and some of them will. But yeah, especially with the fisheye lens, you do get a lot of distortion and exaggerated features. 28mm is used a lot for street, and if you get close up, yeah, there can still be a bit of distortion, but it's not as bad. Normally I like the 35mm if I'm going with the wide lens, because you get a decent amount of things in the frame, but it also looks pretty good on the subject. It won't exaggerate things too much. And so I've got a 35mm lens for my Canon cameras, which is being used at the moment, but I also have one for my Pentax K1000, and then I have a 55mm for my medium format, my 645, which is basically an equivalent to a 35mm 435. Now, if you kind of want to see how certain lenses convert from 35 to 120 or so on, there is an app called millimeter Calc. Like, say if you put in a 645 sensor with a 55, it'll kind of tell you that this is close to like a 35mm lens on 35, but then it can also tell you what the depth of field will be like 2.8 on here will be closer to like 2. And so these are known as wider lenses because you do get a wider field of view, and so you can get more things in the frame, and that's one of the reasons to use it. Sometimes to get the full building in your shot, you might have to be in the middle of the road, but with a wider lens you can get it all from a safe place closer to the building. Or sometimes you do want distortion and you do want things to look weird, and that's another reason why to use wide lenses. But yeah, normally I like to use wide lenses because I do like to get more things in the frame, get more of the environment as well as the subject. And then you have your more standard field of view. So this is like your 50mm, or if you're shooting 645 and 80mm, like I said earlier, 6.7 will be like 110mm. And so these lenses you kind of want to use if you want more of like a normal look, kind of similar to what the human eye is seeing, and less compression or distortion of your subject. And so these are very great for that. They also tend to be the faster lenses. If you want more light in your image, usually these ones will be the ones you go for because you can get them at 1.8, 1.4, 1.2, 0.95 even. And so normally these are the ones that you can get the most light on your image from. But they also present a more normal point of view. They're also very versatile because they can be good for landscape, they can be good for portrait, they can be good for going up close, going far away. And yeah, there's plenty of reasons to use these. Sometimes you don't want to get as close to a subject when you're doing street, and this still kind of gives you enough of the environment while also not having to be super close to the subject. And so that's one reason to use these. They're also, yeah, they're just great lenses. They make things look great, they don't distort things, and yeah, they're usually really good quality too. So that's why you'd use your normal field of view. And then lastly you have your telephoto lenses. Now these lenses tend to be a lot longer and larger in size, and what these lenses are designed for is to be able to see things from further away up close. And so these are definitely used a lot for animal photography, quite a bit for landscape, depending on the kind of landscape photography you do like to do. And these can also be good for portraits to an extent, because there is a bit of distortion that you get from the compression of the image. And so then with this, because you're seeing things closer from further away, things look closer together. so you can get a weird stacking of facial features. Like, my nose is a pretty big nose, but if you get a long enough lens, it can really compress it and make my face look flatter, and even make my ears look closer. And say for mountain ranges, with a wider lens you'll be able to see the distance between them more. With a longer lens you could really compress them so that it almost looks like a wall, which you can get very interesting things with that kind of compression that you get from these. Now, one thing to be aware of with longer lenses is that they need more light. While things are getting better and we are able to make longer lenses with wider apertures, most of the time, especially with the older lenses, they're going to be a lot slower. The minimum aperture on this one for my 6.5, which is a 300mm, is 5.6. So at night, I'm going to have to be on a tripod if I'm using this, or push my film quite a bit. And even for this Pentax one, it's a 3.5, which is still kind of slow. It's not completely as slow as this, but it's still pretty slow compared to other lenses like my 28mm, my 35mm at 2.8, my 50mm is 1.7. This is 3.5, which also isn't that great for nighttime unless you're on a tripod or have really high ISO's film or pushing it really high. But another benefit is also the depth of field. Longer lenses have much shallower depth of field. So if you want to separate your subject from their environment more and just have them in focus and everything around them really much a wall bokeh, you're going to want a longer lens. And these lenses are only scratching the surface. There's super long lenses out there. And this is just the basics of the different focal lengths you can get with lenses. And there's definitely more in-depth videos out there. But my snapshot series is really just for beginners to get the real basics of the things they need to know for photography. And so there's definitely more in-depth videos you can get out there, but this is just really simple, and I don't want to overload you with information. So hope you enjoyed the video. Please let me know your thoughts on the different kind of focal lengths I talked about, if you've played around with it before, or if you need to ask more specific questions, feel free to ask that in the comments below as well. I really hope you did learn stuff from this video. Please like and subscribe, and there's post notifications to know when there's a new episode. Anyway, I'm Josh, this has been Snapshots. Let's get out there, shoot some fun.